Please welcome Paul Turovsky.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to all of you. Professor Alpers, thank you for the warm welcome, and thank you for inviting me to speak with you today. First, I too would like to congratulate the 2010 graduates of the UCLA History Department. It was a job well done. Congratulations. You should be extremely proud of your success here at UCLA and recognize, and I hope appreciate, that you have had the opportunity to study at one of the world's great universities, on one of the world's most beautiful campuses, and with a faculty in this history department that is renowned for excellence. I, of course, also want to congratulate the faculty for teaching and leading this group of graduates, and the parents and other family members gathered here today for supporting the graduates in so many ways over the years. The last thanks I want to give is actually to my wife and my partner for almost 25 years, Monica, who's here with me today. I actually have, as Professor Alpers mentioned, 2 degrees from UCLA's History Department, a master's and a PhD, and I received the last one exactly 30 years ago. But unfortunately, at the time, I was not able to attend my graduation ceremony. And to make up for that in a little way, and with your permission, I'd like to consider this my ceremony as well, just 30 years late. I'm extremely happy that Monica is here with me to share it, and only a little sad that my 2 daughters, Charlotte and Lily, are not. When Professor Alpers asked me to speak at your graduation ceremony, I was extremely honored. And while I couldn't promise him a speech full of jokes, funny anecdotes, or even eloquence, after he told me the topic, I assured him that at least it would be full of passion. He asked me to talk about the role that the liberal arts in general, and history in particular, can play in preparing an individual for their future professional life. Let me say that when I was in college and a student and approaching graduation, I could have used some advice. And I hope I can pass on some to you that would have been useful for me as well, because I personally had little idea as to what awaited me and the potential that was really out there for success in the career. Frankly, at that point, I might have thought I was worldly, sophisticated, and I guess that was sort of natural, but I was extremely naive about future careers. I only knew about a few professional opportunities. I understood you could be a teacher, I understood you could be in medicine, I understood the law, but I understood little else, except for accounting. My father was an accountant, and the one thing I did know was that I never wanted to be one. So for me, the path was to pursue a path. For me, the objective was to pursue a path at that point in time that I was familiar with, and I decided to go to graduate school in history. The good news was it was a choice to pursue a passion that I had developed as an undergraduate, and personally, I was pretty good at it. The bad news was that I probably did it without knowledge of many alternatives that were possible. I thought I'd become an academic, and truth be told, I loved being here at UCLA. But that did not end with the teaching job that I had hoped for when I first arrived. And while that should have been pretty obvious from the start, I'm not certain it would or really even should have made a difference to me. I remember quite vividly attending a welcome cocktail party for new graduate students in Bunch Hall before classes began. And one of the first people that I met was the chair of the department, a fellow named Bob Burr. Bob was an extremely nice gentleman. He was a scholar, and he eventually became my dissertation advisor. But one of the first things he told me, and all of the other new graduate students that evening in the fall of 1973, was that the severe economic crisis and the cutbacks that were affecting the university in those difficult times, sort of a familiar storyline, I'm sure, meant that the likelihood of completing a graduate degree and getting an academic job was somewhere between slim and none. Not great odds, of course, but since I was not one at the time to let a dose of reality get in the way of my dream, I forged ahead. Over the next number of years, I studied with the support of many people on this campus and received my degree, which I'm very proud of and very thankful for. But over time, I also came to the realization that teaching and researching at the university level was not the only thing that I might be interested in as a career, And in fact, as I opened my eyes to the possibilities, I realized that I was interested and well-suited for a different career. The challenge then was to turn the skills that I had developed in my academic training at UCLA to a passion, a new passion, and a new career. To me, something of an optimist, this wasn't a problem or even a defeat. It was an opportunity. And I hope that all of you will see your move from being a student of the liberal arts as an opportunity to do something new and exciting in the next phase of your life. Only one that will be enhanced by the training that you have received in your 4 years at UCLA. As an individual who followed a relatively unorthodox path from undergraduate and graduate degrees in history and achieved a PhD that probably complicated things to a far greater degree than your experience will be with a BA in history, but to a reasonably successful career in business, the place for liberal arts graduates in the workplace is something that I have given a lot of thought to. I've also spoken many times with academics at UCLA, at Binghamton, where I did my undergraduate work, and at other schools, on how to help liberal arts graduates make their way professionally in other fields, and with business people and other potential employers about the virtues of hiring liberal arts graduates for jobs and careers that are often thought of as suitable only for those with technical or professional training. Honestly, your degree in history may make your first job search or your first career decision more difficult than it would be if you had a degree in such a field as business or finance. But I can assure you that with the proper amount of drive and energy and creativity, and maybe even a little luck, something we all need from time to time, you will succeed in your first career step. Although I can't guarantee it will be your dream job, I implore you to persevere and search for the right opportunity using all the resources that you can muster. Ask everyone you know what they do, what the details of their days are like. Even volunteer, take an internship if that gets your foot in the door that you think is promising. And after a few short years of experience, your educational background as a student of the liberal arts will be a non-issue in getting the next job and advancement in your chosen field. It will be one of those things in a job interview that you will discuss with an interviewer who will want to know how you managed to be so successful in your chosen field without the MBA or the BS in accounting or the MPH that he or she had. At that point, the relevant items that lead to success are your personal track record, your imagination, your creativity, and your drive and passion. But the training that you had in liberal arts and in history, the way you've learned to do research, analyze material, to work together in groups, to come to conclusions, to make judgments, to make presentations and sell ideas will stay with you for your entire life and career and help make you a more valuable asset to your community and your profession. That's nothing to say about how much the studies that your studies will make you a more interesting and well-rounded person, perhaps more so than the other students that followed a narrower professional path from the beginning of college. So I believe that the best training for future success is a training that you have. And let me highlight, at least in a more tangible way, I'll try to highlight in a slightly more tangible way why I believe it to be the case. And I'll try to do it by telling you a little bit about my work life and use it as an example. As you heard from Professor Alpers, I'm a real estate investment manager, and I have my own business. It's a pretty simple business that I have. I use my own money, I use institutional investors' money, like pension funds and banks and insurance companies, and we buy real estate. We buy office buildings, we buy hotels, apartments, retail centers. Now let me tell you what I did last week. Hopefully this will help you understand how relevant your training is. During the last week, I was working on a new investment opportunity. It involved looking at 9 different properties across the New England states that my company was interested in buying. Now what do? We organized into teams of people to pursue the opportunity. We split up the properties among the team members. Each of us went out to look at the individual properties, 1 or 2 buildings each, and we flew or drove across New England. We investigated the markets they were in. Then we returned from our field work, a term that I often used when I was doing my research and PhD in history, and we downloaded the data from the online data room. We actually used to use archival data, but now everything's online. We read that material that was provided to us. We read primary materials, such as lease documents, correspondence, title reports, court documents, rent rolls, tax reports, etc. And we reviewed secondary source materials. Again, these are concepts that I'm sure you're familiar with. We read appraisals, we read condition reports of the property, we read environmental reports. Then each of us put together a preliminary report for the assets that we were responsible for, and we sat in a conference room last Friday and reviewed the individual properties. Each individual team member presented his or her findings in oral form and written form, and we debated the issues. It was a little like a seminar. Frankly, what we do is we weave together the story from the bits and pieces of information that we have. Sometimes it's physical data, sometimes it's written data, and it's documents that are primary and secondary. And then as a result of this meeting, we reached some conclusions and we made an offer for the properties. When I thought about what I was going to say to you today, it struck me that so much of what I do in my current business career builds upon the analytical and the communication skills, both written and verbal, that I developed as an undergraduate and graduate student in the liberal arts. Frankly, when I think about what I recounted for you as my last week at work, and this is a very typical week for me, I'm not sure if it sounds like I'm a business person or a researcher working on a project at a policy research institute or a historian. Honestly, we do so many of the same things. And I need you to think about that and remember that as you go forward. The last topic that I just want to mention to you today is something that I would call sort of a life lesson or an idea, and I title it, Expect the Unexpected. Now this lesson applies to everyone, and it doesn't just apply to history graduates. It's really just an extension of the issues that you will confront now as you move forward, and it's something that you'll have to tackle probably a number of times in your life as you move ahead in your career and life in general. So get ready for it and embrace the changes that it brings about and see those changes as opportunities rather than obstacles. At this point in time in your life, you have an idea. You may have an idea of what you'd like to do next. You may have a certain job focus or a desire to go to law school or business school or something else, medical school. But the one thing I'll tell you, and I know this could be a scary thought, is that whatever plans that you have today or develop over the next little while may work for the next 3 years or 5 years or 10 years. But there will be many changes to your personal life or changes that go around you in technology, society, politics, you name it. And those changes will require you to change your career opportunities or your job and reinvent yourself over multiple times throughout your career. That is if you want to be successful and happy in your professional life. The shelf life of jobs or for jobs in today's fast-changing world is extremely short. The last thing I want to say to you is that I'm sure that you're concerned about today's very difficult job market and how it might affect you in the short term. And now you as history majors must really try and resist that temptation to only think about the short term and think a little bit longer term. I know that's extremely easy to say and extremely difficult to do. But at least one must recognize that this year is better than last year. When the economy was losing over 600,000 jobs a month, this year at least it's gaining jobs. Last year people were truly worried about the survival of our economic system. I think we've overcome that at this point in time. So take heart, things will get better. They already have. This may be the first recession that you will experience as an adult, but no doubt it will not be the last. And if you work hard, you are creative about your search, you persevere and think outside of the box, you will succeed in the next step in your career path. In many ways, at this point, the greatest problem that you will confront is to sort through the many job and career possibilities that are out there and decide on which direction to go in terms of type and variety. It is much greater than you can imagine. So many of those can lead to an exciting career opportunity. But remember, this is your graduation, and you should celebrate it, and celebrate the 4 years that you've spent here. But it's also a commencement ceremony. It is the celebration of the beginning of the next phase of your life. And as I've tried to make clear, there are probably many more junctures in your life that will be changing and unexpected. And you should expect that. Expect the unexpected. And if you want to be successful, you must embrace those changes that come along with it. To end, congratulations on your fine achievement. Rejoice in the day. Relish the fact that you're a student of history who understands change, maintains a historical perspective, and looks at the world with a healthy sense of skepticism. And as a student of the liberal arts, you have learned that literature, history, and art help us to understand what life means and how to be a good citizen. You can also write well, I'm sure. Enjoy a Hitchcock film, read a serious novel, and try to understand recent developments in the Middle East. Celebrate. But remember, this is the beginning of the next phase of your life. Embrace the challenge. Try to find a field or a job that you really enjoy. I feel that way about my job, and I know it is a key to success. Be confident. You have great training for life. I wish you good luck and much success and happiness, and thank you for listening.